Welcome back, everybody, to the Kev BKA Beloved Show. I'm your host, Kev BKA Beloved. On today's show, we got the most quarterbacky of all quarterbacks, Lamar Jackson, a college football playoff round one recap, and of course, your NFL questions for the week. But first, gotta apologize for the audio issues. If you were to ask me what happened to my mic, I can't even answer that question for you. But luckily, we got the backup mic right here. We gonna make it shake for the next however long this podcast ends up being. Before that, though, I gotta give a shout out to the sponsors of today's episode, BetUS. If you sign up with the link in the description, BetUS will match your deposit 125% up to $2,500. And you can get up to 30 risk-free bets. You cannot beat that. Just remember to hit the link in the description and it could be all yours. Back to the show. First up, I have been coming on this podcast for weeks and have been saying nonstop, guys, black quarterbacks are treated differently. Guys, black quarterbacks are being prejudiced against and have been since the beginning of time. Black quarterbacks this, black quarterbacks that. And oh, y'all have paid me dust. I've been ignored. They called me a madman. But this past week, we had not one, not two, but three quarterbacks of African-American descent that were discriminated against on a grand and national scale. And if you thought that's not what was going to start this podcast, you had another thing coming. First up, we got Jalen Milroe, quarterback of the Alabama Crimson Tide. Ahead of Alabama's playoff game against Michigan, a reporter flat out asked Jalen Milroe, have you ever been asked to play a different position other than quarterback? Because apparently this reporter knows what everyone else in the world knows about how it goes with black quarterbacks. Jalen Milroe's response is as follows. All my life, even when I was in college, shoot, my own offensive coordinator, Bill O'Brien, told me I shouldn't play quarterback. Now, before I continue, this is not about his actual passing skills and quarterback skills. And would you like to know why? Think of all the fucking bums that we watch on Saturdays and Sundays. Not only can they not do traditional quarterback stuff, they can't do none of the things athletically Jalen Milroe can do. And not once have we looked at them and said, hey, you ever thought about learning how to kick field goals? No, they get to keep playing at the next level. Some of them even get 10-year careers. Blaine Gabbert just had a whole Sports Illustrated story written about him. Nathan Peterman is still on the NFL roster right now. And the crazy thing is about a coach like Bill O'Brien telling Jalen Milroe this is the things that Jalen Milroe may be limited in doing are teachable. I can teach Jalen Milroe how to read two high safeties. I can teach Jalen Milroe how to take advantage of leverage. I can teach Jalen Milroe route progressions. You know what you can't teach the other quarterbacks? Hey, Jalen, we've had nothing working this whole first half. You've been sacked 5 times. We can't block for you. We can't catch for you. Shit, we can't even snap the ball to you. But our season's on the line, my brother, and you got to figure something out for us. Can you do it? Unfortunately, Alabama fell short because, hey, you can only overcome but so much, especially in your first year as a starter. Jalen Milroe is what, 20, 21? But even if Jalen Milroe were to reach the pinnacle of college football quarterbackdom, like, say, winning the Heisman, which is one of the favorites to do next year, that still wouldn't save him from the certain prejudices that face black quarterbacks today. Just ask Lamar Jackson, because he had to go through it. Just this past week, Fox Sports radio host by the name of Monsoon Balanusos got on her show and said, and I quote, I want my quarterbacks to be quarterbacky. And to me, Lamar Jackson's just a great athlete. And he's done a really good job. And he had a great game against the 49ers. Prisoners of the moment, he is not the MVP. Christian McCaffrey is the MVP. He has been. I've been saying this for weeks. And it's not like I decided that after this game. That's what happened with Lamar. After this game, he jumped up, but he wasn't even in the conversation. He was an afterthought. First, I want to thank WhiskeyRiff.com for the full quote, because guess what? That video has been scrubbed from the internet from Fox Sports Radio because they tweeted that out, which, if you're familiar with how social media game or sports media game works. If you tweet out a clip from an hour-long show, it's because you know that's the one that's going to get engagement and click. It served the purpose. It got them some engagement and clicks, but they weren't prepared for the heat that was coming their way because they knew what they were saying was some bullshit. But y'all know how the Fox audience goes. They didn't think it was going to get out their bubble, but oh boy, did it. In the middle of the slander that Fox, the radio show, and Ms. Balanalos was getting, she tweeted out something to the effect of, "Oh, I'm so racist because I want my quarterbacks to be quarterbacky," and tweeted out a list of the leaders in passing yards. And you know why that's not a direct quote that I have? Because she deleted that tweet from the internet too. At the time I'm recording this, January 2nd, 2023, she has not tweeted since. She has not been on her radio show since. No apology, no statement, no nothing. She's been scrubbed off the face of the earth. We got to put an APB out for her, in the words of Stephen A. Smith. We don't know what's going on. But much like the rest of you, I had no idea who this woman was before this happened. And I probably mispronounced her name 2 or 3 times over the course of this, so I have no idea who she is now. But if you would join me for a couple seconds, I'm going to let y'all know who Lamar Jackson is. Heisman winner. In the season he won the Heisman, an award that 14 of the last 17 winners have all been quarterbacks, by the way. That season, 3,500 passing yards, 30-9 touchdown to interception ratio, 148.8 quarterback rating. What does he do the following year? Because he was only a redshirt sophomore when he did that. 3,600 passing yards, 27-10 touchdown to interception ratio, 146.6 QB rating. Not bad. After that, 2 years, enters the NFL draft. After such a decorated career, what is the reward that Lamar Jackson gets for his hard work? A press conference at the Combine where they asked him about everything but his play on the field. Every question repeatedly was about him changing positions to running back, receiver, DB, all this shit that he's never played in his life, to the point where the man didn't even feel comfortable running his 40. Draft night. Couple months later, we get the iconic picture of him and his mom laid out on the table, just waiting, watching Lamar just fall in the first round. And so Ozzie Newsome, arguably the greatest GM in NFL history, was finally the voice of reason and said, hey, we should go get this guy. Traded back into the first round, last pick in the draft. Lamar Jackson gets drafted to the Ravens. Let's go to his rookie season. Joe Flacco gets hurt before the bye week. The Ravens are then 4-5 at the time. John Harbaugh's job is on the line. Instant panic is happening in Baltimore. This is 2018. I was in college in Baltimore County this time, so I remember this very vividly. What does Lamar Jackson as a rookie do? 6-1 the rest of the season. His only loss coming in overtime against Mahomes, his first season as a starter, where he was setting the world ablaze, the 5,000-yard, 50-touchdown, ridiculous Mahomes season. Saves John Harbaugh's job, wins the AFC North, sends Joe Flacco to Denver. How does he follow that up? MVP season, first game, had more touchdowns than incompletions against the Miami Dolphins, perfect QB rating. And it only got worse from there. 3,100 passing yards. 36 passing touchdowns, led the league. 6 interceptions. 83.0 QBR, also led the league. 13-3 record, best in the NFL. And then this past Sunday, after Ms. Balanopoulos's comments, perfect passer rating again. The third of his career, which ties him for the most ever with Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Kurt Warner, and Ben Roethlisberger. That's who Lamar Jackson is, and that sounds pretty goddamn quarterbacky to me. Oh, and by the way, I left about 6,000 rushing yards and somewhere in the area of 40 to 50 rushing touchdowns just to further prove my point, which, don't bother Googling it, is way more than all the other quarterbacks he's tied with the QB rating with. So not only is he as quarterbacky as they are, he also has this whole other element to his game that they cannot do. And that is one of the greatest tricks that these quarterback evaluators ever pulled, is somehow convincing the football public that the fact that these black quarterbacks can also run the football means that they can't do the other thing. No, since when is being able to do more a negative? That only happens to black people. It's ridiculous that we're still dealing with this. And since we're on the subject of quarterbacky, let's go to off the field. Has there ever been a more authentic and better face of the franchise than Lamar Jackson? You want to talk about humble? I've never heard Lamar even say a positive word about himself in an interview. There is nobody on the planet Earth who is less impressed with Lamar Jackson than Lamar Jackson. I looked, before I did this podcast, I looked. The closest thing to positive I found Lamar Jackson ever say, the whole time he's been in the national spotlight, aforementioned combine press conference, when he kept getting asked, is he going to change position? He said, no, I'm a quarterback. I've always been a quarterback, and I thought I did a pretty good job. And because he's a significantly nicer person than I am and didn't give y'all his ass to kiss the way he should have, he said it with a laugh and a smile on his face. He's charitable, visits hospitals. The Ravens organization and the city of Baltimore absolutely adore this man. People who don't play for the Ravens adore this man. You couldn't ask for a better face of your franchise than Lamar Jackson. When it comes to professionalism, that doesn't even say black quarterbacks. How do I know? Let's go on over to Russell Wilson. By the way, I'm killing these transitions. Just throwing that out there. These transitions have been fire so far. Russell Wilson has dedicated every single moment of his life towards appearing to be the perfect face of a franchise QB robot. How much good did that do him? Well, according to Jordan Schwartz of Bleacher Report and Diana Rossini of The Athletic, apologies, Miss Rossini, I can't read your report because I don't pay for The Athletic and I didn't want to pyrate your shit. So I got to go with Jordan's because he had an obnoxiously long tweet on Twitter that I'm only going to read a portion of for the sake of the audience's viewing and listening experience. And I call him Schwartz. I'm sorry. Sorry, Mr. Schultz. Russell Wilson's benching by the Broncos today is solely financially related and has been in the works for weeks per multiple sources with access to the situation. The Broncos approached Wilson 2 days ago after their October 29th upset over the Kansas City Chiefs and told him he will be made inactive for the rest of the season if he did not adjust his contract and would defer the injury guarantee trigger date that he has for 2025. Wilson has $37 million in injury guarantees for 2025, which will become guaranteed no matter what on the 5th day of the 2024 league year in March. At the time, Russell was coming off a 3-touchdown performance and a win over the Chiefs and was starting to experience the type of success he envisioned following a challenging first year in Denver. The threat, however, shocked him, and the two sides got into a major dispute on how to proceed. The issue remained, but the Broncos stuck with Wilson as the team strung together primetime wins over the Buffalo Bills and Minnesota Vikings, followed by another win over the Browns, one of the league's best defenses. Now, I don't know this for a fact, but if I had to guess which side that article came from, I'm just going to guess that's from the Russell Wilson side, right? I feel like that's a safe assumption to make. Cool. Welp, this one pretty clearly came from the Denver Broncos side. What strengthens that side of the argument, according to NFL Network's Ian Rappaport, his article refutes that it's just a financial decision. In fact, the very name of his article is examining factors that led to the benching of Russell Wilson. I'll read one excerpt from it because, again, very long, and I don't want to sit here and read articles to y'all for an hour. Peyton has been happy with how his offense has been running, sources say. He's seen it at a high level with Drew Brees, and this wasn't it. He kept needing it to simplify and parse it down. They struggled to get plays in, and it barely was run to the speed he wanted. Russell made the plays off schedule in the fourth quarter, but Peyton fumed at the lack of efficiency on a regular basis. Over the past few weeks, he's weighed a decision. This week, it seems Stidham has run the offense well in practice, with optimism rising. So let's weigh out both sides. The source saying it's strictly financial is from Bleacher Report, which is completely independent from the NFL and the Denver Broncos, but clearly has a Russell Wilson bias, and if I had to guess, probably sourced from Russell Wilson's camp, if not Russell Wilson himself. The source that's trying to convince us it's football related is from the NFL Media Group insider, Ian Rappaport, who, let's just say, has some relationships he needs to massage in order to continue to do his job correctly. Not even mad at him. I don't pay his bills. He has to. Do what you got to do. Do with that information what you want. But here's how I look at it. If they approach Russ after he beat the Chiefs, for the first time since Barack Obama was in office, by the way, then after the team threatened to bench him and all this contract dispute is happening behind the scenes, he then went 4-1. And then he gets benched after going 0-2 in 2 nationally televised games, funny enough, both on NFL Network. One of the 2 included Sean Payton berating him like a child, which this whole situation makes me look at that very differently too. And if Russell Wilson was just 10% of a worse person, he would have cursed Sean Payton the fuck out the way he deserved to be, which quite honestly, I would have. But above all else, would you like to know why me personally has a very tough time believing that this is for football reasons? They benched him for Jarrett Stidham, who fucking stinks. I'm a Patriots fan. I got to watch Jarrett Stidham. We drafted him. He stinks. He just got his first career win against Easton Stick. Congratulations. He stinks too. This Russell Wilson story is far from over. This will spill over to the offseason. All reports say that Russell will get released and will probably get cheated out of his money. If the NFLPA has their way with this, some way, shape, or form of legal litigation will probably end up happening, and Russ will end up getting his money. Because this is absolutely insane that they're going to try to do this. You got quarterbacks like Andrew Luck, who got paid when they retired out the blue. The Colts let him keep his money. Jim Irsay wasn't even trying to pay Jonathan Taylor for being on the roster now, but they're letting Andrew Luck get paid to do nothing. God forbid that Russ Wilson can keep the money on the contract that y'all gave him, that you didn't even need to give him. That's another part that I'm surprised no one's brought up yet. When the Walton family bought the Broncos and then proceeded to trade for Russell Wilson, they didn't have to pay him yet. He had another 2 years left on his deal when they traded for him. They paid him to say, hey, we traded for our guy and we gave him a big contract. Look at us. That was that deal. It was a look at us deal. And the fact that y'all got finessed, now y'all going to try and get your money back. No. That's not how this works. And the NFLPA will make sure it happens that way. All right. I think that's about all I needed to get out. Treat black quarterbacks fairly. Damn it. Quick break. And then let's talk about the college football playoffs. All right. So I did 2 quick recaps of these games during the immediate aftermath of them. I'll insert them here. Had to go ahead and throw the purple do-rag on in honor of Michael Penix Jr., the coldest naysayer on 2 feet. I've been looking at y'all draft boards. What you're not going to tell me is that there's 5 better quarterbacks in this draft than Michael Penix. That's what you're not going to tell me. Winning this game, despite his head coach's best efforts of having the worst time management in the history of the college football playoff. If you are a Washington fan, that should be concern numero uno going into the national championship, that Jim Harbaugh is just going to coach circles around your guy. But in the meantime, in between time, great win. Enjoy the fact you got the best quarterback in the country right now, and we'll see y'all on Monday. Michigan indeed went out there and out Nick Saban. I've been watching Alabama football essentially my whole life, and not a once have I seen that many white and crimson jerseys moving backwards on both sides of the ball. Alabama offensive lineman is supposed to be a brand you can trust. 6 sacks? 6 of them? And then to make matters worse, to end the game, bad snap from the center, whole offensive line pushed backwards, 4th and goal, don't gain a single yard, bye-bye to your season. Crazy, man. Salute to Michigan, though. Blake Corum, DMV zone, went into overtime, 2 plays, boom, right in the end zone. Gotta respect it. Can't wait to see what this team does in the national championship. Wonderful. So I'll just do some building out afterwards of some follow-up thoughts I had in the next coming day. For Washington versus Texas, I've been waving the Michael Penix Jr. flag all season long. I wanted him to win the Heisman. I know Jaden Daniels' numbers were astronomical, and there was a late media push and SEC bias, level of competition, blah, blah, blah. I see the vision, but I feel like a lot of you just didn't watch Washington all year long. I've watched a bunch of Washington this year, at least all their biggest games. USC, Oregon twice, Oregon State, Washington State, all of them have fallen at the feet of Sir Michael Penix, second of his name, every single time. And now Texas has been added to that list, and Michael Penix went out there and balled on him to the tune of 430 yards, 2 touchdowns, the yards being the third most in college football playoff history, behind Joe Burrow and CJ Stroud, who went first and second in the draft respectively in their years. And y'all are trying to convince me that he's not a first-round draft pick at quarterback? Come on now. Does that make sense to y'all? Not even based on this game. I just talked about all his biggest games. I haven't seen him fold under pressure once. If you want to tell me injury concerns, fair point. I would say do your goddamn job as a GM and protect your quarterback the way you see the Dolphins doing with Tua now. But hey, maybe I'm asking for too much for NFL GMs to do their damn job. So the Alabama-Michigan game, afterwards, I got a lot of comments about Michigan being cheaters. I've never given a shit about the sign stealing scandal, which is why I've never talked about it. I played college football. Didn't play D1, but I played college football. Everybody tries to steal signs. Everyone. Which is why you see the people on the sideline holding them big-ass signs with Donald Duck and Tinkerbell and whoever in the little 4 squares. And it's 3 or 4 people on the sideline doing signs. And hell, I don't know if my college still does this. Sorry if you do. I'll try not to say the names so I don't out y'all. We had all 3 of our backup quarterbacks all wearing different color hats, throwing up different signs they're calling the play, and the reason the quarterback would know which sign to look at was because of which color hat corresponded. It will be a different hat per game. Sometimes it'll be a different hat each drive. Why? Because we knew the other team was trying to steal our signs. If you manage to not change your signs up and get your signs stolen, that is a you problem. That is not a problem with the team you're facing. Even if Michigan had everyone's signs and that's the only reason for their success. Here's the issue with that. The brand of football that Michigan plays is not, and I mean this respectively to Sharon Collins and everyone on the Michigan offensive and defensive coaching staff. They don't play a scheme them up and we're going to exploit your coverages and weaknesses and blah, blah. That's not the brand of football they play. They play a strap up your helmet, put your hand in the dirt, we finna move you off this football on both sides of the ball brand of football. Ain't no signs in the world for that. No matter what scheme you have, the brand of football Michigan plays is we gonna run in this A gap right here and ain't shit you can do about it. That's how Michigan plays football, which is why I thought they were gonna lose to Alabama, because that's the brand of football that Nick Saban has built multiple championship teams off of. So I didn't think that they were going to go out there and get Bama, but apparently they did. That was the most shocking part about that game, was that, to quote myself, Nick Saban got Nick Saban. I didn't think it was possible. Jalen Milroe got sacked 6 times. I've never seen an Alabama line give up 6 sacks in my life. There have been entire college football playoff runs where they haven't given up 3 sacks, let alone 6 in a game. Oh my God, I was disgusted. Before I get back to the game, to the Florida State fans who have been extra annoying after Alabama lost that game, targeting Jalen Milroe specifically, which go see the last segment about the black quarterback as to why they feel so adamant about attacking Jalen Milroe. Guys, y'all lost 63-6. Shut the fuck up. Y'all don't talk anymore. I don't care how many people opted out. I don't care who's on your roster. Losing 63-6 ain't enough opt-outs in the world to compensate for a 60-piece. Just stop it. Just stop it. Last point about Alabama, Michigan, and then I'll talk about the actual national championship. When I saw the first play of the game that ended up getting called back when JJ was on the rollout, completely ignored his wide open receiver and threw the ball directly into the hands of an Alabama DB that just so happened to step out of bounds before he caught the ball, I was like, damn, it looks like JJ got the yips. It's going to be a long night. To JJ's credit, bounced back, 17 for 27, won the game. I'm not wearing a cap, but I tip my hat to you, sir. All right, now for the actual national championship. Here are my concerns with both teams. If you look at Michigan and Alabama's game, I had a chance to rewatch it before I saw the taping. Michigan should have been up by at least 20 points in the first half. They left so many points on the field in the first half. And then in the second half, that third quarter was honestly rough. To watch everything that went well for them in the first half completely turn on its head in the second. Until, thankfully, that last 3-minute drive where they were able to score and tie the game up, which shout out to Jim Harbaugh for going for it on that fourth down with 3 minutes left when a lot of other coaches with a lot less stones would have punted the ball away. Not Jimbo. But I watched that game and it seemed, yes, Michigan was by far the better team, but boy, were they trying to give that game away, and Alabama just couldn't take it. Again, a lot of that had to do with the fact that if you dominate the trenches, you can kind of make all the mistakes you want. And that kind of leads to my fear with Washington is Michael Penix Jr. has stayed pretty clean all year long. I don't think he's taken 10 sacks all season. As I've just talked about, Jalen Milroe had 5 sacks in the first half on him. Now, Washington got some first-round talent on the Washington offensive line. They got some great receivers out there that are 2 first-rounders guys and other guys that are going to... Offense is very talented, is the point I'm trying to make here. They haven't seen a defense like Michigan yet. They haven't. And on the other side of the ball, as much as their pass rushers for Washington can look elite, they haven't seen a ground and pound with a competent quarterback level offense of Michigan yet on that side of the ball either. The other concern is we all love Kalen DeBoer, the head coach of Washington. Seems like a great guy, great speeches, great turnaround, great story for the season. Fourth quarter against Texas. The fact that that game came down to the last play is a direct indictment on his ability to manage the game. Specifically the clock, but manage the game. It was rough to watch. And against Jim Harbaugh, who, say what you want about Jim, is one of the best coaches on the planet and definitely on the college level. That is getting you beat, and beat badly. I haven't made a prediction yet. I will do a traditional preview the way I do for each and every video. Right now, I'm leaning Michigan slightly. I'm like 51-49 Michigan. What keeps me at Washington is, if you watch my previews, I lean on a lot of great quarterbacks win big games. It serves me well all the time. I don't think I've ever lost the game with that logic yet, I'll be honest. Great quarterbacks win big games. I think Michael Penix is a great quarterback. And if he's as great as I think he is, he wins this game. The concern is this Texas versus Alabama, where Colt McCoy and that Texas line has never seen anything like that Bama defense? He gets knocked out in the first quarter and it's over? Or is this Clemson versus Alabama, decade later? And Trevor Lawrence goes out there, lights it up, game's over in the first half. Hopefully I have an answer by Monday. Quick break again, and then we'll get to the NFL questions. All right, week 17 NFL questions. Season is rapidly approaching an end. And a little sad to say, but hey, it's been a fun one so far. If you want to hear your questions on the podcast every Monday, immediately in the morning, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at BKA Beloved, you will see a picture saying, ask me anything. Submit your question. You can hear your question on the podcast. Just like this. Do the Bears keep Justin Fields? Who's ready for some nuance? I know y'all don't like nuance in your sports talk these days, but I'm finna give you some, so listen up. If you would have asked me this question a month ago, I would have said absolutely the fuck not. Caleb Williams is way too damn special for that. You draft Caleb Williams, you trade Justin Fields to the highest bidder, you use whatever that next pick will be to surround Caleb with some talent, and you move on to the next day because you don't want to be the team that traded away Caleb Williams. Well, right now it's not that simple. If you replace Justin Fields with a rookie, whoever that rookie may be, as special as I think Caleb Williams is, and I think Drake May's good. I just talked about how much I love Michael Penix, Jaden Daniels, JJ McCarthy, whoever you draft and one. It is going to take them time to adjust to the NFL. In fact, we're seeing it with Justin Fields right now. It took him, 3 years to be able to start looking like an NFL quarterback? CJ Stroud's and Joe Burrow's just don't fall from trees. Like, rookies that look like superstars immediately off campus, that doesn't happen often. I can only think of maybe 4 off the top of my head that has happened to in my lifetime. And I don't think the Bears, as currently constructed, have a roster that will be able to foster a rookie coming in and immediately succeeding. A way to change the roster so that they can have an environment where a quarterback can succeed, you take that number 1 pick, you trade back, and you might not have to trade back too far. More on that in a second. You stockpile some picks. Now we can get back to it. More than likely from Washington, who is the worst kept secret in the league, that the Washington new ownership group will trade you their soul for Caleb Williams. They want him more than oxygen right now. Caleb Williams is from DC. There's nothing that Josh Harris, Magic Johnson, and the whole new Washington ownership group would want more than to say, look, Washington fans, we have your hometown hero back. Didn't work out so well with Chase Young, but maybe it'll work out differently with a quarterback. Who knows? They're at number 2 right now. So you only got to move back 1. Who's to say that they don't like Drake May more? I disagree, but hey, who's to say they don't like Drake May more? You could draft Drake May, or you could trade back again for another team that loves Drake May. Stockpile even more picks. This according to Spot Track, which is like the holy grail pro football reference of everything money related in the NFL. If you ever need to know contract and cap space stuff, just go to Spot Track. I promise it's there. Little under $67 million in cap space going into this offseason. That's after they've already re-signed Montez Sweat. It's a lot of money to make some moves. Grab another receiver, some offensive linemen. Starting to sound good, don't it? And for whatever reason, they're not going to fire Matt Eberflus. God forbid anyone learns from the Chargers, but sure, keep Matt Eberflus. At bare minimum, fire the offensive coordinator. And for all that is precious, please call Greg Roman. I have been screaming from the rooftops for the Bears to do this from the first week of the season. Please call Greg Roman. There is nobody who is better at crafting offenses around running quarterbacks who are limited in their ability to understand defenses than Greg Roman. Colin Kaepernick went to a Super Bowl. Lamar Jackson won the MVP. Tyrod Taylor took the Bills to their first playoffs in my lifetime. How much more evidence do you need? So in short, their options are either A, draft Caleb Williams, trade Justin Fields and be done with it. Not a bad choice. B, trade the number 1 pick of Washington, who'll be at 2. Let them draft Caleb. You draft Drake. You trade Justin Fields. Still end up with a stockpile of picks anyways and still get the quarterback you want if they like Drake May more. Also not a bad option. Or 3, trade back twice. Stockpile picks like insert army here, stockpiling weapons. Use all that cap space you got and stockpile some top talent, some win now level talent, and hire Greg Roman so Justin Fields can have an offense built for him. If you're asking me what option I'd go with right now, it pains me to say this because I love Caleb Williams. I'm going with option C. I'm going with the Justin Fields option. And if they do option C as constructed, I feel so strongly that it will be successful that I would bet immediately. I would go straight to BetUS. And whatever Justin Fields MVP odds are for next season, I'd bet it immediately. Immediately. I will do it live on the podcast. Go straight to BetUS and bet Justin Fields for MVP next season if they follow that plan to a T. Trade back, stockpile picks, hire Greg Roman, use your salary cap, Justin Fields for MVP next year. Thanks for the question. Is it too early to say Super Bowl Ravens versus Niners? Yeah, it looks like it. I don't know who else it will be. The real question is, if not them, then who? Let's look at the Niners in the NFC. They've already beat Dallas and Philly pretty bad. The Lions defense is simply not built to play the Niners. The Rams would be the biggest threat, and that's simply because of McVay versus Shanahan history in the playoffs. That has nothing to do with the way the Rams are currently constructed now. Those are the only teams that have clinched so far. We'll revisit this when more teams clinch. As far as the AFC and the Ravens just 50-piece the Dolphins. I think the Chiefs are cooked, and quite frankly, I'm tired of talking about them. Whoever wins the AFC South is losing in the wild card round. 2, the other team that has a clinch, the Cleveland Browns. And I'm about to sound like the biggest Debbie Downer right now, but I don't care. It has to be said. I know y'all love Joe Flacco. I know you do. And I'm about to be very complimentary of the Browns when we get to the power rankings, but I must say this. Y'all are out of your rabbit-ass mind if you think Joe Flacco is walking into M&T Bank and beating the Ravens. You're crazy. Y'all have ignored the 8 interceptions Joe Flacco has thrown since he's been a member of the Cleveland Browns. They will not be ignored in Baltimore. Let me tell you. The Baltimore Ravens have picked off Tua Tagovailoa and Brock Purdy 6 times in the past 2 weeks. They make their living turning over quarterbacks, and Joe Flacco loves turning the ball over. As great as that Browns defense is, it is only a matter of time of the amount of extra possessions they're going to have to go out there and chase Lamar Jackson around before they break. Not a chance that the Browns go into Baltimore and win a game. I'm sorry to tell you. So yes, barring any unforeseen circumstances, it is going to be a Niners and Ravens Super Bowl because I don't even see who else could possibly win those conferences. Thanks for the question. Do we give Lamar Jackson the MVP now? He steamrolled the Dolphins. Yeah, baby, that's a wrap. That's a whole wrap. I don't want to hear about numbers because we've seen him in the past 2 weeks against the other 4 MVP candidates, Brock Purdy, CMC, Tua, and Tyreek Hill, and he has been the best player on the field by far in those 2 games. He's the best player on the best team, and he's the best quarterback. Every single year, that's the MVP. The only reason it's debatable is because he's not quarterbacky enough for these people. See my black quarterback rant earlier. This isn't a debate in my mind. Lamar Jackson, the MVP. His name is currently being engraved on a trophy as we speak. This isn't even arguable to me. Thanks for the question. Would you have went for the 2-point conversion a third time instead of playing for OT? I'm assuming you're talking about the Lions. The answer is absolutely yes. All the affirmative words you can think of. Yes, yes, and yes again. Especially if you are Dan Campbell and the Lions. And this is where all the analytics nerds are going to roll their eyes, suck their teeth, and just get mad at this. When you are establishing a culture, the very culture that has the Lions winning that NFC North, literally for the first time since the NFC North has existed, is a culture of aggression, no risk it, no biscuit. I firmly believe in this team. We're going for it all the time, and we finna get it because we the Lions, and if we don't get it, we gonna make up for it. How could you then turn around and play for overtime after you just watch your team march down the field for a game-time drive? Oh, no. You got to go for 2. And if the ref's on a call that you're sitting there fuming on the sideline about, that kills all the momentum, you're going to go kick your field goal? No. You have to go for it again. You have to. And especially, you got Ben Johnson, who's apparently an offensive mastermind. I would hope you have more than 3 2-point conversion plays on your little play call sheet. And since I'm here, I have to say this. And this is for Lions fans. I need you to hear me. I need you to hear me good. Referees don't decide games. They never have. They never will. One play does not decide a game. It never has and it never will. Few things in sports bother me more than to hear fans whine and complain about refs. Yes, it was a bad call. It was terrible. It was the wrong call. The ref fucked up. Y'all got fucked on that play. That's objectively true. You got fucked. But to hear y'all go, the refs stole the game from us. We would have won if not for the refs. How about you cover CD Lamb? You ever thought about that? You think that maybe has something to do with the fact you lost the game? Best player on the field, 200 yards. Maybe that would have helped. Or how about you wrap up on Dak Prescott so you can get a safety instead of him throwing a 92-yard touchdown to the aforementioned CD Lamb? That's a 9-point swing. I think that's a little more important than a 2-point conversion. Refs ain't have shit to do with that. Come on now. That's what I'm talking about. One day I'll get on this podcast, my YouTube channel, or some platform, and I'll do a full film breakdown of some game, any game. I'm just going to pick it, and we're going to go play by play. And I will show you one of 2 things per every single play, that if this or that would have went differently, the outcome of the play and the outcome of the whole game will change. Because that's how football works. For every play, you could say if this or that did or didn't happen, then the game would have been differently. That's what makes this sport awesome. So no, games aren't decided by one play. Okay, I think I got that out. We're going to take another quick break, and then we're going to do the power rankings and get up out of here. Power rankings! The part of the show where fan bases get mad at a stranger on the internet because I don't think your team is as good as you do. Now I got some good news and bad news. Bad news, this is the last power rankings of the year. Multiple reasons. Reason number one, because most teams that are on this list are not playing their starters next week for good reason. So how the hell am I going to rank them? And two, I have a much better idea for the playoffs that makes a lot more sense. And it'll be way more fun. So that'll be the good news. Next week's version of the Power Rankings segment is going to be way more fun anyways. I promise you won't miss it. Without further ado, the first two out, well, this week, technically three, tied for that last spot is the Jaguars and Texans. The reason they are tied is because I believe one of them are going to win this division. I know the Colts are also tied for that spot, but I don't think there's a snowball chance in hell that Gardner Minshew is going to win that game with his season on the line for the Colts. Does that even sound right to you? Like, if someone were to try to sell that to you as a 30 for 30, would you believe it? Of course not. So I'm not even going to try to sell that to you now. The other team being the Jaguars, who have just been free-falling. And if their season comes down to CJ Beathard has to go win it for them, no shot. But yeah, I've spoken ad nauseum about my love of CJ Stroud and the way he plays. And I think he's built for these moments. So if I had to put my money on who from the AFC South wins that division, my money's on CJ. Next team out is the Pittsburgh Steelers, who, to make Pittsburgh great again, to make the Steelers great again crowd is awfully silent over there after Mike Tomlin is up to 9 wins again, another winning season, because your team will never be bad. As long as Mike Tomlin is your coach, you'll never have a bad team. Sorry to tell you. The man can coach his ass off. 3 different quarterbacks. Had to fire an offensive coordinator. Doesn't matter. No one in the world expected them to beat the Seahawks, except for the people in the building. I didn't even know Najee Harris still had a pulse until this week. 100-plus yards, 2 touchdowns off the strength. And after they beat the Ravens this week, we'll get up to 10 wins and more than likely end up sliding back into the playoffs and be face-to-face with whoever wins between the Bills and the Dolphins. And not going to lie, very happy that y'all have discovered that Mason Rudolph is the best quarterback on your roster because Kenny Pickett ain't it. And I don't know how Mitch Trubisky's still in the NFL period. So, hey. All right, now, future me editing this. Give me my graphic. Thank you, sir. Number 10, we got the Los Angeles Rams, and the team that nobody wants to play almost lost to a team that is currently slated to pick 5th in the NFL draft. Not awesome. On the bright side, the fact that they didn't lose secured the 6th seed for them. And in the battle of the backups, maybe they steal a win off the Niners. And it'll put them to double-digit wins for the year, which for a team that we all thought was tanking before the year, can't ask for much better. Shout out to the Rams. Number 9, we got the Kansas City Chiefs. Yes, they won. Who cares? They almost lost to Jake Browning and the Bengals. They're celebrating another division title for like the 8th, 9th year in a row. Congratulations. I'm so tired of talking about this team. I don't expect much from this team. I just want to fast forward to their wild card weekend loss so we can do a where have the Chiefs gone wrong, and insert reporter here will finally give us the article of here's where the Chiefs went wrong this year. Number 8, we got the Buffalo Bills. In the past 2 weeks, the Buffalo Bills have barely beaten the Eastern Stick-led Chargers and the Bailey Zappi-led Patriots in a game where the Patriots turned the ball over 4 times, which is where 20 of their 27 points came from. Not great. I've seen a lot of people have the Bills ranked as high as 3rd on their power rankings. I haven't seen it for them all season. I don't see it for them now. And I just don't see how a team goes from firing their offensive coordinator to the 2nd seed in the AFC. That's just not how that works. Number 7, we got the Philadelphia Eagles. And Philly fans, I tried to tell y'all that Matt Patricia is not the answer to your defensive problems. And if anyone should know that Matt Patricia is not the answer to your defensive problems, it should be y'all, because there's a statue of Nick Foles outside y'all arena because of Matt Patricia's ineptitude. I've been on the front line defending the Birds because I believe in the talent, I believe in the infrastructure, but golly, it is one thing to lose to the Cardinals, which, by the way, thanks for that. My Patriots are now going to be a top 3 pick. Good looking out. It's a whole nother thing to allow 221 yards on the ground and only run for 91 yourself. I didn't even know run defense was a problem. We thought pass defense was a problem this whole time. And I thought last week we established that the Eagles are going to run the ball now because, I don't know, they have the best offensive line in football. It only makes sense to do that. That's just embarrassing. Number 6, the Miami Dolphins. Look, man, getting 56 hung on you drops you out the top 5. It is what it is. But in my attempt to shoot the Dolphins some bail, no Waddle, no Mostert. Although Tua leads the league in passing yards, the game manager thing has been well established. When pieces are missing from the offense, Tua falls apart. I expect those pieces to be back Sunday night with the season on the line, and spoiler alert, I expect them to beat the Bills and keep their 2 seed in the AFC status. Although, again, I got to get back to Mike McDaniel. I know we all love Mike McDaniel. He's so cool. Oh my God, look at his shoes, look at his glasses, blah, blah, blah. In a blowout in the fourth quarter, star pass rusher Bradley Chubb tears an ACL because for whatever the fuck reason, he's still in the game. Why? After already losing Jalen Phillips for the year. Why? Why? As a head coach, why? Why? Just why? Number 5, we got the Lions. Look, it was hard for me to drop them too far after the way that game went. But as a top 3 running offense in football, to only get 4 yards a carry against the Dallas defense, whose biggest weakness has been stopping the run, very concerning. Seeing Jared Goff crumble under pressure against the Dallas pass rush, very concerning. I mean that literally, not metaphorically in pressure situations, because in that last drive of the game, God forbid that the Cowboys continue to rush the passer, which they do very well. And for some odd reason, they just stop pressuring Jared Goff, which we've known for years works. I'm sorry. I hate prevent defense with a passion. That's very high on the top of my things in football that piss me off, right next to people blaming the refs for their losses. It looks like the 3 seed is locked up and the Stafford return to Detroit is inevitable. I still don't know who I take in that game. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. Number 4, we got the Cleveland Browns. And congratulations, Cleveland fans. Y'all have a coach. Kevin Stefanski is one of 2 head coaches in Cleveland Browns history to have 2 seasons with more than 10 wins. The other coach, some guy named Paul Brown. I don't know. They say he was a great coach and some team is named after him. Seems like a good guy. I know Joe Flacco is getting all the headlines and whatnot, and that's cute and all, but if you're a Cleveland fan after what you've been through this century, hey, dog, that should be the top story. We have a coach. Jesus Christ. They were coached by Freddie Kitchens a couple years back. They lost 31 out of 32 games a couple years ago. And now they have a coach. They have either the first or second best defense in the league. They're the actual team nobody wants to play in the playoffs. I'd bet all the money in my wallet right now. Whoever they play from the AFC South in that 4 or 5 matchup, they're blowing their doors off. Number 3, we have the Dallas Cowboys. I'm not in the business of discrediting wins. That's not what I do here. That's not what I'll ever do. Especially when that win came, for the most part, because the biggest weakness on your team, stopping the run, was a huge reason you won. That and a CeeDee Lamb masterclass, which just beautiful to see. All they got to do now is beat the Washington Commanders, which they always do, to secure the number 2 seed in the NFC. Great to see it. Shout out to the Cowboys. Number 2, we got the San Francisco 49ers. Welcome back to the silver medal slot. Obviously, we can't put you at 1 because of the Christmas Day massacre. Concerns for the Niners. They secured the 1 seed in the NFC, and thank God, because 2 of their best players, Trent Williams and Christian McCaffrey, who are essential to how their offense functions, both are out with injuries right now, and the more time they have, the rest, the better, as far as getting them to the Super Bowl, which obviously is their goal. And number 1, no surprise to nobody, the Baltimore Ravens. How's a 50-piece with 6 free biscuits against the number 2 seed in the AFC Sound? Put that in your pipe and smoke it. After flying across the country and putting the bang thing on the number 1 seed in the NFC, they'll be on vacation for week 18. I highly doubt John Harbaugh will play any of their starters, unless they just want to be petty and say we didn't get swept by the Steelers this year. Hopefully watching Bradley Chubb get his ACL torn in a game that the Dolphins were losing by a million scares them off from doing that. John Harbaugh, please bench your starters so that doesn't happen to you. Rest up, get ready to make a playoff run, because, oh boy, if y'all don't win the Super Bowl, they are going to rain hell on the Ravens this year. And I don't want that for y'all. All right, I was hoping I'd have time for one last segment. Even if I don't, I'm making time for it. I would like to welcome the rest of Patriots Nation to my goddamn way of thinking. I've noticed it. I'm seeing the tide change. All of a sudden, everyone wants Bill Belichick back as a coach next year. I have never wavered. I have never been deterred. For y'all that have listened to me for a while, for y'all that followed me, I have numerous videos. All you gotta do is click and see me say, under no circumstances do you fire Bill Belichick as a coach. Zero. And now all the fans have joined me. Welcome. Bill Simmons. Welcome. Chris Brockman. Welcome. We haven't heard from Matt Damon, the Wahlbergs, or Ben Affleck yet, but I'm willing to bet they're on my side too. So to all y'all, welcome. With open arms, I bring you all in. Come on, bring it in. I got a hug for all of you. Welcome. Because everyone finally realized, hey, this team's awful. And Belichick manages to keep us in these games every goddamn week. The only issue is Belichick's the reason the team's awful because he picked the players. Let's make sure that's not an issue next year. If only somebody has been offering this solution all year long. Oh, wait, it's me. It's been this guy that's been offering this solution all year long. And again, I say, welcome. You're all late, but still, welcome. I'm happy to have you. With that said, thank you for listening to the Kev BKA Beloved Show. Don't forget, like, favorite, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend, all that fun stuff, and we'll see y'all next week.